Can't handle the heat. Booyaka Show. Welcome back to the episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz. All the way in the Deutschland. Of course, we got Joe and the Français Vous. We got Micah and the Turkey. We got Jake and freaking Auburn, baby. Best basketball conference in history, SEC. But we're not joined here alone here. We have possibly the biggest and probably the biggest upcoming content creator in terms of volleyball this world has ever seen. We have the PME Volleyball. Christian, thank you so much for hopping on the pod, brother.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I apologize if you can't really hear what I'm saying. It's hard to talk in this thing. Christian, I heard a rumor. Are you still playing in college or no? Are you done or what are you doing now?
I'm currently not in college. I did 2 years. I played D3 volleyball at a school called Lancaster Bible College. But this year I decided, just through kind of the journey I had through the summer working with the Volleyball Nations League, that I was going to focus on the content creation full time, just while I can, because I don't know how long this window is going to be open for, and I just want to take full advantage of it while I can.
And are you planning on going back to college?
Maybe. I'm not like opposed to the idea. I just don't know what that would look like at this point. So if I ever really wanted to get back into playing volleyball at that level, then I would definitely go for it.
Sick. Joe, sorry,
Respect.
I cut you off there.
Mad respect.
So with that, how was that process in terms of like when did you know that you were gonna go and like drop out, or was it like okay, if I hit this certain amount of followers, this engagement, I'm gonna just pursue this full time? Or when you were going into college, were you already in your mind thinking, all right, maybe I just drop out and just pursue this full time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did this thing, the Volleyball Nations League. I worked with Volleyball World, and they sent me all over the world for 7 weeks, and I got to watch Team USA women's and men's volleyball, and it was just an awesome experience. I actually got to meet Micah at one of the legs there. We sat down at a table
Let's
and ate some food.
go.
That was awesome.
Let's Canada.
And yeah, I just met some friends along the way, and through my conversations with them, not that they persuading me to drop out of college, but they also were like, "Yo, you got a really good thing going on here. It might not be the bad idea to invest more time into it, especially when there's just so much on your plate being a college athlete, just doing that. So through those conversations, I obviously talked to my family about it, and it just got to a point where it made sense to take this route at this point in my life.
Sick.
And yeah, here we are.
That is so sick.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and then I want to talk about the Volleyball Nations League. How did that first? When they first started talking to you, and then how did that kind of get started?
So they reached out 2 years ago, and I went last year and did work with them. But 2 years ago, they initially reached out to me, sent me an email, and I looked at it. And as I'm reading this email about this Volleyball Nations League all around the world, we want you to go to these different countries and shoot content for us. I was like, that's a scam. That is not real. I'm not supposed to be clicking on that. But it turned out to be 100% real, and the people I got in contact with were actually at a company called Volleyball World, which puts on the VNL. And so getting to talking with them, we were going to initially do it the summer of 2023, but there were just some complications that didn't work out, and we weren't able to go and work together that summer. So last summer, they reached out to me again, and we were able to finalize a contract, put that together, and it worked out. They wanted me basically to just go follow Team USA around because they want to, get the USA audience more engaged into volleyball, and I create content in the United States. So yeah, I just went and followed around Team USA every time they did something cool. I was usually just there on the end lines. If you were watching the games, you could sometimes see me, and I was just sitting there with my little iPhone. And so, yeah, creating some TikToks for Team USA. It was just kind of incredible to see how each of these different countries celebrated volleyball differently. So, like, the first stop that I went to was in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and that was just like a complete eye opener for me because I had never seen that type of environment, and especially around the game of volleyball. Like, they just loved the game. They were so loud every time Brazil played, in particular. The Brazil versus USA game for women's was just absolutely nuts. And I feel like all of these different cultures just like enjoyed volleyball a little bit differently. I feel like Turkey was a little bit more down to earth, except for when Turkey played, because I mean the women's volleyball Turkish team, anyways, is insane. So they love them. And then like Japan was the most respectful crowds. Like they were all just like they would cheer for like both teams, just celebrate good volleyball rather than a team in particular. Yeah, it was just really cool to see like this is obviously one game, but it's universal, and everybody just has a different way of enjoying it, and that was super cool to me.
How much did you know about international volleyball before VBTV asked you to do this?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I knew a couple of the USA men's volleyball players. I knew about Bruno from Brazil, the setter, because I watched him on YouTube when I was younger. And that was about it. Like that first match of women's volleyball that I watched, I just didn't really know a whole lot about those athletes. And I'm so glad I got to spend as much time as I did watching them because I just grew a very deep appreciation for how good they are at volleyball.
What is
It is crazy to think about
Yeah.
too that like I don't know, I feel like we're so used to like the different environments and like we have like such an understanding of like each place and what it brings. And to go at such a young age and be involved with it and like it just takes me back to like our first experiences overseas and how like eye opening it is. It's really insane. And what is your like content strategy on how to get US kids like especially like younger women and or younger girls and boys that are in like the club scene to get like integrated into that world is like have you put a lot of thought into that or like how through your content are you trying to like bridge that gap?
Yeah, so like being at the events was a very hands-on experience for me, and I kind of just translated some of the things I did with my own content directly to the best level of volleyball in the world watching you guys play. And for me, it's like, yeah, maybe I could pull off a cool block and it look like pretty neat or whatever. I'll post it and it'll get some views, but then I see a France national team player put up a block, Taylor Averill put up a block, and it just sounds and looks different. And putting that in front of my audience, who is mainly a lot of like younger boys and girls volleyball players in America, they get to see that. And then they're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Where can I watch more of that? And so that was kind of like my strategy going into it. It's like, I didn't really need to do anything special. I just needed to capture the moments that just show how cool the game of volleyball is in the first place. It's all there, it's all right there. Like the story is there. I just need to open it up for more people to see and be invited into it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Gotcha. And then when VBTV hired you, did they have a strategy for you, or they're like, hey, like, you know what you're doing, obviously, go in there and do your thing, or was it something that you were? And also, was it intimidating going there at first and seeing everything?
Oh yeah, it was like I on my first day in Brazil was on the elevator with my cameraman, and he was a volleyball teammate of mine at LBC. So we got to travel the world together. Shout out to Mac. But
That's
we were
lit.
just going down to like go eat, and the entire USA women's volleyball team walked into the elevator with us, like nine of them, and they're all like really tall, but I never really thought about how tall they actually were. And I'm pretty tall myself. I'm around 6'3", but that like experience right there and then was just like absolutely shocking to me. Like I didn't really realize, how what the level of that volleyball was at the top until I was just like in an elevator surrounded by the best volleyball players from the United States representing this leg. Like that was pretty crazy to me.
And did they introduce you to these players? Like they said they wanted you to do Team USA. Did they say, hey, this is Christian here, this is a videographer, this is someone who's gonna be following you around, or no?
So it was the first, it was definitely the first time for both sides. That's what it felt like for me anyways. Like it was the first time them bringing like a USA content creator to kind of follow around their teams. And for their players, it kind of seemed like there were some opportunities to do content with them directly. In fact, on one of the legs, I sat down with a women's volleyball player and did a little interview with them. But it wasn't like I had a whole lot of opportunity to interact with the players one-on-one for content anyways, and I don't really even like looking back at it now, I don't understand where the disconnect was. Like, I understand for the pro volleyball teams, like you guys obviously want to be focused on winning and doing your best possible, the best you possibly can at all these competitions. But it also felt like there was an opportunity for me to like kind of use my brand to help boost volleyball in the United States of America. And there was definitely some opportunities where I feel like it could have been better. Like there could have been more content that I could have done with the players directly.
So let him cook.
Yeah, yeah. So they had like they wanted me to do a specific amount of videos every day. And so like to meet that requirement of videos, like there were some things, certain things they wanted to see obviously, but they also like were very aware of my work and definitely knew that like this was kind of my specialty. So they definitely gave me a lot of free range to kind of like test out ideas that I thought would perform well. And a lot of those were just using like popular sounds on TikTok and then just putting volleyball clips behind those because those videos do really well, especially when you get a trending sound that's like really blowing up, you know?
How did this all start for you?
Yeah, so 3 years ago, I was going into my junior year of high school, and that was around when COVID hit. So, like, the world was shutting down for everybody, and I was out of a job. I worked at a restaurant before that, and after that experience, like, I didn't really want to necessarily have to find another part-time job. So I started exploring ways that I could like self-employ myself. And one of the ways that I thought I could do that is like, yo, I could do like some merch and to play volleyball, I could do some volleyball merch. And in order to do that, like I'd obviously need an audience to sell to. So I basically just started creating TikToks and like my sixth video that I ever made just blew up out of proportions like overnight, had 100,000 views on a brand new TikTok account. And that was definitely like the moment where I realized like that was crazy. And if it weren't for that moment, I probably would not have been motivated to continue posting consistently for as long as I have up until this point. And ever since that point, it's just been consistently posting. I've done anywhere from like 2 to 4 videos a day for the past 3 years, and that's helped me get to the point where I am
Whoa,
today.
what?
Yeah.
Dang, that's insane for
Uh,
3 years.
before we go on to your content creation, I had one more thing about the USA thing. Because I noticed that too. So the first time I realized you were with Team USA and VBTV, and this is kind of a funny story. Probably a more awkward moment for you though. And for you, it was, I mean, to go in there and they say, okay, you're gonna do this. And one, you don't really know the people you're working with, and two, like you said, maybe they're focusing on the event, maybe they're not so open to someone just coming in and shooting, the team itself. I remember distinctly this story. This is when I realized you were with Team USA. It was during media day. It was an Instagram story, and it started on the girls, and then boom, it panned to you. I remember you were just in the corner like this, and I was like, "Oh man, that is a tough spot to be in because because it's a tough position for you to be like, okay, if they're not open to it, how do you pull that out of them, and do your job, but you don't want to also cross the line. So I thought that was kind of a funny moment. I was like, oh yeah, that's a tough position to be in. But I respect your hustle because you obviously grew their channel a bunch. Because I saw the clips you posted; they were sick.
Yeah, I remember being in that media room and they all turned out to be so nice the more time I
Yeah.
spent with them. But that was like my first interaction there and I was like I don't even know what I'm necessarily supposed to be doing. Like,
Put
it
in
just
my
told me to
hand.
show up. and be here and shoot content. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm good at like the on-court stuff, but I don't really know how a whole media day works. And there are people with a lot more expensive cameras in here than me. But yeah, I'll take my iPhone and try and figure out something. But yeah, that was definitely an awkward situation to be in. But after that, it got a lot better for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So to go back to your content, posting 3 to 4 times a day for 3 years straight. How much time did it take for you to come up with something in terms of, well, how do you brainstorm for your content, and then how long does it take to film? Let's just start with those two questions.
Yeah, so brainstorming for me, for better or for worse, is just doom scrolling on TikTok. Because by doing that, like I've kind of set on my algorithm in a way where I'll get a lot of the trending sounds. So usually like those trending sounds don't come from other volleyball players posting content. It's usually like I don't even know. Maybe there's like a basketball video that's using a trending sound, or most people will use like clips from movie audios that end up being trending sounds, and they'll associate that sound with like a different niche for a different video. And so I'll see that sound and hear that sound and be like, I think there's a volleyball scenario that sound makes sense for. So that's kind of how I brainstorm my content is I'll just save all of those trending sounds on my TikTok. And then when it's time to post or when it's time to film, what I'll do is basically just for an hour and a half, if I'm doing like these trending sounds, I have a setup that I'll just go to and turn it on, and I'll just crank out like 20 to 30 videos at a time, most of the time because it takes like 7 to 10 seconds to shoot a TikTok. Like it's not very long to do that. So that's kind of how it works. And I like to get it done in bunches so that way I'm not like having to shoot 3 to 4 pieces of content a day because that would just be exhausting.
So what does a day? So you kind of alluded to it right there, but is that what your day looks like in terms of the content media day from like beginning to end? You wake up and as follows.
Yeah, so like I have different channels. So I have a YouTube channel. So I'm doing like right now the big series that's been working is like I'm reacting to all my followers' best volleyball highlights. So like there will be a day allocated to doing that video, the behind the scenes work. Then I'll have another day we'll actually shoot that video, and then there will be a day for the short form content. And then what I do on top of the tiny like 7 seconds long trending videos is I'll also do 1 minute long skits because in order to get paid on TikTok is your video has to be longer than a minute. So I have a day where I go to a gym and I'll have like 7 to 8 skits lined up and we'll go just shoot those skits on that day as well.
Got you. And then when it comes to content as well, I've watched a lot of your long form content. Do you enjoy long form or short form more in terms of shooting?
I feel like I like doing long form content more because it allows the viewer to get like a deeper look at who I actually am. And from a short form piece of content, like people don't really know a whole lot about me. And then they might see a video where I'm doing something goofy or reacting to a different volleyball video, and then they'll just kind of think like one thing or the other about me. But when I'm actually doing a long form video, or I used to do vlogs for my college team, like they could actually get a look into who I actually am. So I enjoyed that aspect of doing long form content compared to short.
And then when you play in grass tournaments and then you used to play in college, when you would play these people or when you do play these people, how is it on your end? Do you get a lot more flack or because obviously you have a big platform and whatnot? So is there more smack talk coming your way, or is it something that, or are they? I mean, they can be respectful and talk smack, but do you get a lot more kind of shit coming your way?
Yeah, usually like what I've noticed is that like I have a lot of younger volleyball players that have gotten into volleyball because of what I do. And normally like that audience, like, JV and lower really does love what I do. Like there will be a lot of if I go to a volleyball tournament or playing a grass tournament, I'll get a lot of younger volleyball players that are just like really happy to get the opportunity to maybe talk to me or like take a photo with me. But then like yeah, when I play against people on grass tournaments or there was definitely decent amount of my college experience, like, yeah, they would use the thing as like trash talk, and I don't even blame them. Like, it's obviously right there to do so. Like, you can do that, you know? It's not something that I necessarily signed up for when I started doing social media, but it's totally part of the package, especially when you get to a certain size. And you know, it's almost like for me at the time, like I didn't really appreciate it maybe 2 years ago when I was a freshman in college, just trying to figure out how to play D3 volleyball. But like looking back on it, like I kind of wear it as a badge of honor, like it because it means that I got to a certain point where, you know, people notice me for better or for worse.
Has anyone ever crossed the line, you think?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can think of like a single time where somebody went over the line with the social media necessarily. No.
Got
It's
you. I
usually
mean that's good then. That's good.
yeah, it's usually just like TikTok guy, you know,
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. Like whatever. It's fine. It's okay. I've gotten to the point in my life where like I've decided whose opinion of me actually matters. And so like anybody else that's outside of that circle of people who I've determined like what they say about me matters, like I just kind of have to brush it off.
Got you. Yeah, that I mean that's not easy because obviously like people like to get on their skin. They like to say stuff, and obviously you're gonna get targeted more often. Well, there's a few more questions here, and then we'll let you off the call here. I have one guy because I play this guy in my league. I want to hear your opinion on Tobias Crick. You made a couple videos about him. I want to hear your honest opinion about him because I saw some stuff and I was like, I don't know if you guys had history or whatnot, or if it's all like a joke. I want to hear your kind of honest or your opinion of him.
So, oh, Tobias Crick. I actually respect the hell out of that guy and what he's done with his audience. I will say when I was a little younger, definitely more insecure about myself. Like 2 years ago, I made some videos that I probably wish I wouldn't have, like throwing shots at him. But like as I stand now, what he's done, I think he's the biggest volleyball content
For
creator. Like
sure, for sure.
that's really cool, and I respect the heck out of that. And like, I might still react or like use a video of his, but I'm not gonna be as malicious as I once was about it. Like he's, you know, like I can't. Game respects game. He's done it at a very high level, and he's not
For
only a
sure.
professional volleyball player, which is really cool, he's also figured out the social media thing. And for a lot of professional volleyball players, it's definitely like that's not the case, you know? I wish that
Right.
was more of the case. But that just also comes from like volleyball just doesn't get the same viewership as like a basketball or a football in the States, you know?
And I just want to ask you about that. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I know, like, because obviously, if you're on the internet for a long time, you're gonna catch flack. I've caught a lot of flack at different times or whatnot. Or I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have done that, but here I am. Um, but I mean that's just natural. I have a question. Has USA Volleyball or has any of these pro volleyball federations reached out to you about social media or these new leagues? What are the four that are coming out?
Yeah, so I'm in contact with one right now. I might end up working with them. And before that, the AU Pro Volleyball League, the one that does like the draft style format, I worked with them covering their league when they had it for I think it was only lasted for about a month. I did a reaction video to some of their top plays and created a short form video for them, which is cool. And like so if there are any pro volleyball leagues in the United States of America listening, like I would love to work with you. Like that would be an awesome opportunity for not only me, but for like these leagues as well, because I have a more established audience than some of these leagues right now. And like I would just love to send some of these kids that way to watch like real volleyball players play the game and learn from them, because that would just be a cool opportunity to do so.
For sure.
What?
I'm sorry, Joe, you go.
No, I was just ask, like, what in general for you, um, is kind of the future of your brand, I guess, from also a business side. Also, and what if you could just explain type of your, I guess, model and type of mindset, I guess, in terms of like your brand, what you're trying to do, and then what you're trying to build as a whole kind of sphere.
Yeah. So what I've learned about myself is that this is like where I'm at in my life right now. Like this is my job and this is what I do, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had to do it. And it's also been pretty lucrative up until this point. So like I got a good amount of money put away. But I've realized like I mean, we just had a whole thing with the TikTok, like that might disappear one day, and it might be sooner or it might be later, but I don't think it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I obviously have now marketing skills and like social media skills that maybe one day I could apply to a different company. I've also like thought like past PME volleyball, which I think I'm going to be doing this for like the next 7 or 8 years. So if there's anybody listening, watching this that loves my content, like I'm going to be around for a minute. But like past that, I think like there's also a path to maybe teaching people about social media and how they can, do well with it. Because I think there are a lot of things that go unnoticed by a lot of people who are trying to make it out there on the internet. And then like beyond that, like I enjoy volleyball still. It's been big part of my life up until this point, but I also get like a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of other things that I'm currently doing. Like, my dad is a youth pastor, as I told you guys earlier, and he's got like this youth ministry thing that he does at our church, and I've gotten pretty involved in that, and I think like that's something that I want to look more into pursuing one day for the rest of my life because I just get enjoyment out of helping youth. Learn more about themselves, become more confident in who they are, and just having somebody there to believe in them. Like, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Respect then. So this is something that. So how often do you play like volleyball nowadays? Like because obviously you're not playing in college. So, but you also have maybe you have more time in your hands. Possibly, I don't know. Is it something that do you enjoy playing grass? Are you playing beach? Or are you just going open gyms? Or what's the move here?
Yeah, when it warms up again, I would like to get into grass volleyball more. I mean, I've seen what you guys do, and you guys play it at such a high level that it just looks like so fun to be a part of. And I think definitely this summer, if I'm not, doing anything with the VNLs again, I would definitely look more into doing some more grass volleyball. But for now, I haven't really been playing consistent volleyball, and this is the first time in my life in about like ever since middle school that's been the case. And I've kind of just enjoyed the time off because it's been such a big part of my life and what I do that it's kind of just nice to take a moment to just take a step back. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Got you. Well, we're playing. We have a bunch of tournaments if you want to come by. Where are you out of this or where are you out of now?
Yeah, Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York. Okay. I was going to say, we're hosting a couple tournaments if you want to come swing by, or also Wapaka is super sick if you ever get a chance to go by there. You've been to Pottstown. You went to Pottstown last year, yeah?
Yeah, 2 years ago I was at Pottstown, yep.
Yeah, they don't really love us anymore, so unfortunately we can't really go there anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, apparently, well, I guess I was running my fat mouth, apparently. No, basically what happened was, long story short, I tell the story 1,000 times. We had to from pool play until our first like quarterfinal, maybe like round of 16 match. We had to wait 9 hours in between, and it was brutal. And I said that on the vlog, and they did not like that. They did not like that at all. So then
They kicked you out because of that?
Yeah. Did that, and then also on the podcast. So Pottstown was a 2v2 tournament, and we said, hey, we released a lot of good videos, got some good views. And we're like, I feel like we helped put the 3v3 on the map a little bit for Pottstown. Not the tournament, because 2v2 is the best in the nation. They didn't like that at all either. So then they came after us, and they said, we want you at our tournament. I'm like, all right, sounds good. But we still play Wapaka. We're hosting one in Nashville called Smashville. Shout out to Jake Myers for that name. Smashville. How sick of a name is that? Smashville. That is lit. And then we have our 4v4 tournament in Luau that we're hosting. So we got a couple going on. But we have a lot of family in Maryland. Maybe we can. Yeah, we tried that one time and it didn't work out. But next time we can possibly shoot some content or something together. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would be so fun. And yeah, I might have to swing by. It just depends on what ends up on the schedule for the summer. But if it's open or there are opportunities to go to some of these grass tournaments, I will. Sure. Yeah, I'll take you guys up on that for sure.
Well, Well, Christian, we thank you so much for hopping on the podcast here. I just want to give a shout out to the audience here. Just remember, guys, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the damn kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.